Well, it is a joy, as I said, to be with you all. And I just wanted to share a story as we begin that as I was looking forward to talking to each of you all about spiritual maternity, I remembered a time in my own childhood, oh so long ago, when I believed that my mum had magic powers. And it fascinated me that every time I'd trip over, fall off my bike, which seems to happen a lot as a kid, God bless our mums, or it was after some kind of embarrassment, like realizing my best friend Sally didn't invite me to her birthday party, I'd run to my mum, I'd show her proof of my injury with my tears or with my wounds, and then magic would always happen. She'd bend down, low, taking everything very seriously. She'd hold my wounds in her hands, and without a word, she would simply kiss it, and it was better. Now, apart from the first time that I rode my bike without a helmet and came away with an epic egg-shaped large bump on my forehead, I don't remember a time when it wasn't enough for my wimpy tears and my pain to pretty much go away after Mum had kissed it better, where I was safe in the arms of a mother. You see, a kiss, I think, communicates so much. Perhaps it didn't always stop the bumps from growing, or totally did it fix my teen social life, no. But it said so much more. I think it connected with a need so much deeper than we all have. Just more than just keeping healthy and having a good living, which is important, but it's not everything. Those things, our income, our travel plans, our futures, as we all look around today, these circumstances are constantly changing, now more unpredictable than ever. And this kiss of a mum touches on a much deeper and more essential need that we all have. Pandemic or not, we need love. We need to know that we're loved, that we have a place to run to, especially when we're hurting. And there's places in our hearts and lives, whether it be our memories or our minds, where there is pain, there's discomfort, embarrassment, worry. And we need to know that we're loved in that place, not generically, but personally, by someone. This kind of kiss of a mum says to us, I see your pain and it matters to me. It says, I'm here, you can come to me, I notice you. And when we go to Mum and she responds with a kiss to a soft spot, she's really saying, I'm not afraid of your wounds. They don't bother me, I'm not put off by them. In fact, I'm drawn to them. I'll come close to them and I'll kiss them. I'll love you where it hurts. And there's more. The kiss, it says really that I'll risk myself for you. It doesn't point a finger or say to you, I told you so, blame or accuse. But rather it says with a gesture even deeper than words, that right now where you are sore, I am concerned. Right there, I receive you, I embrace you. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, as I know I have, now that's all good and well, Sister Mary Grace, but I can't even touch my loved ones. I haven't held a child in months. Or perhaps I don't have kids of my own. Or I never had a mum that taught me that. But here's the greater truth about you and me. We are not determined by our limits, what we can do or what we've failed to do. And neither are we the result of what wasn't given to us when we needed it most. Sin and failure, they are not the end of the story. And they aren't the most powerful force in us. The defining force of our lives, who we are and what we're made for, our meaning is found in the truth that you are loved and known, chosen to know God's love and chosen to give it away. And God, who knows you best, He always sees your goodness and knows the greatness that you were born for. And this is what I want to look together at a little bit more today. What if, let's pose it like this, what if you and I, women, made uniquely and wonderfully female, with feminine souls, were created and designed with an inherent capacity for maternal love? A kind of capacity for a kind of love that is not reliant on whether we experienced it in our upbringing or not. Neither is it entirely dependent on our current family situations. You see, you and me, by the very fact that we are women, already possess a talent for loving in a way unrestricted by external realities. Yes, even beyond social distancing rules. What if we could give a kiss of our love, as a mother kisses her child's wounds, without being physically present to one another? Now, don't get me wrong, I am not promoting the use of love via emojis or getting used to being apart. No, of course not. We all look forward to the day that we're going to be together again. But what I am talking about is a way our hearts have been created for a love without bounds from the beginning. And now, perhaps as we are limited in our physical closeness to one another, is the time God has planted for you and me to discover this inherent gift of spiritual maternity. And so live it and give it away all the more. You see, the very fibers of our womanhood are woven to be mothers. It's in our deepest makeup. Biologically, we can carry the life of another in us. And yes, this extends even spiritually. Motherhood is like the flavor of our love and the quality we can always discover more about and how to unfold within us. It's like the hidden talent that you already hold. It's the magician I thought I saw in my mum, when what I really encountered was the arms of a warm welcome that saw me, cared for my wounds, and carried me in difficulty. But we don't always think about this capacity in us outside the picture of our immediate families. But there's so much more. You see, it reaches deep into that place and even far wider. This motherliness about us is also called spiritual maternity. Now, I know it might not be a common conversation topic at our dinner tables, or perhaps it's a phrase that we've never heard before. You see, I know the first time I heard the term spiritual maternity, I thought it was just made up to make nuns feel better for not having kids. But I was so far from the truth, and I had no idea of this magnificent mystery that lay within my own heart since it began to beat. You know, being maternal, loving like a mum, is not reserved just for those who carry life in their physical wombs, but for each one of us women who have hearts that carry lives in the wombs of our love. You know, and it doesn't just switch on when we walk down the aisle or at the door of the convent. Neither is it on standby or switched off when we're single, discerning, unable to conceive, or no longer can. Spiritual maternity is the fiber of our feminine soul. It's part of our being and who we are. We are mothers, and our love is maternal. So what does this spiritual maternity look like in you and me? I want to look at one specific aspect of maternity that I think is most pressing and vital for our lives and time in history today. As Mary had mentioned, I'm a sister of life, and our mission is essential. That is prayer. Prayer from the source of life. And then a service to uphold the goodness of all lives, but especially when we or others' lives are vulnerable. And this happens a lot around us, right? Especially today. We can too easily forget or neglect our own goodness or the goodness of those around us. And so we live to uphold it again and together remind each other of the infinite worth of every human life in God's eyes. And that with Him, truly nothing is impossible and no part of us that cannot be made new. And so we have, unsurprisingly, remained very active, open and connected these days, mostly connecting obviously over the phone. I've been deeply moved by conversations with women. We have the privilege of walking with women each day, whether that be cheering a young woman onwards as she embraces the ups and the downs of an unexpected pregnancy, or a woman who serves alongside us as a co-worker, reaching out to others in need, or a woman who has suffered the experience of abortion, recently or a long time ago, and is bravely letting Christ lead her on a journey of hope and healing. It is a wonder to sit front row before the strength and beauty of woman, to love heroically, and to let themselves be loved even more by our gentle and merciful God. But there was one thing recently that has struck me the most. In every conversation, whether it be a woman who was pregnant, reaching out, or one who was healing in her own heart, there was a common thread. When I asked if they had any specific things to pray for, every woman brought up another person. It was beautiful. And not just any person, but someone, whether it be a child of their own who is anxious about their future, a niece with a habit that they can see is hurting them, or a grandchild who has left the faith, a parent ill, a friend who has lost their job, or a spouse going through some kind of hardship. Each woman had someone she knows is struggling, and she carried them in her heart. I mean, cannot you and I even think right now, easily name one or many people that we carry and are concerned about, that we think about? Our spiritual maternity is motherly because it carries people, and our sight is especially attuned for strugglers. We see the person And we love them for who they are, not what they can do or how healthy they are or how much money they can make. And so too, we can see the pain and the sorrow, what holds them back, and we ache for so much more for them. We have a sight for strugglers, and we carry them with us, within us. You see, this special trait it's a characteristic of God. We have each inherited, and our spiritual maternity actually reveals to us more about God's plan for you and I, and how much we have to offer. God entrusts woman with the human person. It's incredible. He gave the woman Mary his own son Jesus, his greatest treasure. And to each of us, he gives us his son Jesus, and Jesus in every person we care about. And we women, we respond with ourselves as a physical womb can receive and nurture a child into life by the giving of its own body and blood. So too our spiritual maternity is a womb of love in which others grow. And not only in just the first 9 months of existence, but right up until their last moments, in every stage in between, from crazy teens to midlife maturity and the elderly, even stretching out into eternity beyond death to those who have died. We have room in us, a space for others to be themselves and grow. And your love and prayer, it's never wasted and is always heard. And even if a child of your own or another you carry in your heart moves out of your home or even out of control, if you care about them, you have been chosen to carry them from the womb of your body and in the womb of your heart. And God, dare we imagine, loves them more than we do, has chosen your special love, your voice in prayer, to carry them with him to him. And so far we've looked at how spiritual maternity shows us how we give our love away, right? And then we carry the life of others that we care about with our unique sight for strugglers. It makes me think, what does this then say about us and God? About you and him? And I want to tell you a story about one of the happiest days of my life that happened just recently. It's about a young girl that I had the privilege to meet in our missions. She was barely through high school. She was your typical young teen, hoping to study, not too certain of career choice, but wanting to keep on track. Smart, clever, not to mention beautiful. She had a lot going for her. Just months after graduating, Claire, I'll call her, fell pregnant. This was not part of her plan. She was meant to meet the one, of course, one day, but not now, she thought, at least after a degree and a bit of savings. She wanted a family one day, but this unplanned pregnancy seemed like it was going to ruin everything. And by no small miracle, we met Claire and so began to accompany her, walk with her each step of the way, reminding her of the truth, that she's still beautiful, braver than she thinks, and yes, she can do it. We believed in her. And we held out this hope that this unexpected turn is not a setback, but a dive deeper into the discovery of her own strength, capable of loving heroically. And each step was a huge act of courage up until the day she gave birth. And I will never forget waking up reading the message from Claire. And she said to us, "I made it. She's here. And sister, she's so pretty." I have never had to exercise so much restraint on the road so as not to speed that morning when I went on my way to the hospital to see them. I remember walking into the room. All was quiet. It was just mum and baby cuddling together, completely absorbed in one another. It was such a sacred scene that I almost turned around and walked out of the room until Claire called out to me and she said, "Sister." And I turned around and I just saw her holding this little tiny girl out to me, saying, "You can hold her. And by the way, can you be her godmother?" I wept louder than that newborn girl. And as I held this miracle in my hands, I knew that I was staring at another. I couldn't take my eyes off her mum. Don't worry, I was holding baby secure. But it was Claire. It was Claire that was radiant. Through the most difficult situations she had walked through, and with so much against her, she had made a choice again and again to receive this unexpected gift. And what life! Physical and soon to be eternal, when she's baptized, she had let into the world. She let the mystery she didn't always understand unfold in her life, and to her surprise, brought life to her too. You see, you and I are maternal. Whether mothers of our own children in our wombs or mothers by the wombs of our love can bring life into the world. And it makes me think, if this is what physical maternity unleashes into the world, a whole other beating little heart with a future ahead, what then is unleashed by our spiritual maternity? What is born in our hearts? What is born in our hearts and into the world when you and I say yes to the life of Christ, already alive and beating inside you and me since baptism? When we say yes to Jesus, yes to his plans for our life, whether they be everything we expected or far from it, when we say yes to the never-ending offer of his love, especially when we least expect it or feel we don't deserve it, when we say yes to Jesus, when all we have to offer him is our cuts, our bruises, our fears, and our regrets, we let Jesus come in and through us into the world. His life hinges on our yes. And when we let him in, he comes. We give him a chance that he never refuses, to bend down, to meet us right where we are with a kiss to our sore spots, and he bring us healing, and not just healing, but life. Surprises of life to the places we thought were dead and barren, not worth it anymore. The greatest strength of our spiritual maternity is to receive God, to be mothers of the Word, true women of the Word. Women that choose to let Jesus in, let love in, and let love grow more and more. I'll never forget another witness of a woman, I'll call her Sarah, and she let Jesus into her heart. Sarah had a difficult life, experienced abuse, and was never quite loved for who she was. And so she never really felt quite enough for anyone. She had also suffered the experience of an abortion years ago, but the pain and hurt had never gone away as she was told it would. And our paths, they crossed seemingly unexpectedly, except it wasn't. God had chosen this day, this place, now, for her to know his mercy and love. We were accompanying her on a journey of healing when she had the chance to receive the sacraments of confession and the Eucharist. And having sat silently in the relief and peace Jesus had given her, she and so many other women that we walk with expressed this unexpected encounter as the meeting place of love and suffering. Love she had longed for, but suffering was her life story. But now, those places became one, and Jesus came to her with love in her suffering, and all was made new. We women, we have a room within us, not just for our family and friends, but first to receive and carry the life of Jesus in us, in our own lives. His life, his real life, doesn't just want to reach others, but is first interested in you and him. He cares about what you care about. His work is mercy and healing. It's our freedom and happiness that he wants most, a heart-to-heart relationship with us. And when we gradually open the womb of our hearts by seeking him and being filled, we can't help but fill the world with his life that everyone is so desperately looking for. My little brother, now at the age, not so the age of 25, recently married his high school sweetheart. Cute, I know. And I was able to be home in Australia for the wedding. Now everyone knows that in weddings, one of the best parts is the start. Cue dramatic music, swing wide the doors, down comes the bride, tissues are thrown around everywhere, bursts of tears, way too many obnoxious flashes of cameras in the way, everyone pushing and shoving to get in the center of the aisle. Well, not for me. This time, my eyes were on my bro. Maybe at first, because I was a proud big sis, but then I couldn't look away. Now, there was another reason I watched the groom. I saw something that struck me ever since. Tom, my brother, was utterly captivated, gazing at his bride. Now, I grew up with this guy, so I have other stories as well. But I have never seen him look at anyone like he did that day. Moments before, he was bantering with his friends, joking around, probably just trying to shake off the nerves. But when his bride was in sight, nothing else was. His eyes were for her. Yes, noticed, seen like we're the only one. Women, this is the gaze of our God. Except he doesn't just reserve it for one big wedding day. Jesus Christ looks upon you like this every moment. His gaze isn't ever distracted, doesn't tire, is never put off, not even one glance away. Now, you and I know we're not always in our best dress before the Lord. Sometimes we're more stained with the discoloring of our sins, or our clothes are more like rags as we have experienced the roughness of the roads of the lives that we walk on. And we can feel ashamed or regretful, embarrassed to even approach God. We don't always look our best. We sin, make mistakes, we fail more often than we'd like to admit, and we regret moments we weren't the best mums and we didn't live up to be physical or spiritual mums. Sometimes we're walking away from Christ rather than towards him. But the stunning truth is this: his gaze remains unchanged. He has always had his merciful eyes full of love on you. There is no stain, no wrong, no sin that would ever take his eyes off us. And I don't think it's always vain to want to stay young. There's a deeper desire in us to remain in some ways like a young bride, or that little girl that always has arms to run to and knows with complete confidence that those arms will be there for her, to receive her, to bend down and kiss her wounds and make all better. We are made in God's image and likeness, which means that how we are created as women, as mothers, will also tell us about God and how he loves us. Now, we are women of the word, receivers of love, and it's a lifelong journey of running into the arms of Jesus, always open, with a kiss always to be given. And we're constantly choosing to turn back and walk towards that gaze at the end of the aisle that lets us encounter love. And when we know again and again that love, real, alive in us, we have so much more to give away to those we love. And so on that note, we wish all of the sisters that are here with me now to wish each of you a happy Mother's Day this weekend. You are mothers, and you are beautiful. And as a gift to you, as my sisters gather around me, we want to sing to you a song about Mary, that first mother. And I just encourage you now, as you read the words with us, to just let your heart run to her. Mary was entrusted with us too as her children. So let us ask now, Mary, help us to be mums. Show us how to be women of the word, a mother of the word, and a mother to all. On a dark winter's morning,